Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 14. It is called Whom Gods Destroy. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, before
if I'd seen that title before I'd watched it, I'd have been worried.
You'd have assumed it was going to be another, this society is based after Greece and ancient Greeks.
One of them.
Yeah, and they're going to be in robes and shit, and it'll be tedious. Do you know what's funny? Now, the episode overall ends up being kind of... I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad episode, I don't think. It has some dips. It has some things that maybe doesn't utilise things to their fullest potential. But I got really excited, or not excited, maybe worried is the more correct term, because I assumed they were going to ruin it or not do it properly. But the opening 5 minutes, before the title sequence, when they set up what the episode was about, I went, This is really interesting. Are they really doing this? What? Because the premise of this episode is that Kirk and Spock beam down to this planet. This really radioactive, toxic planet, but there's a mental hospital in the middle of it all. It's got a protective dome, but they're out here, they've been basically stranded here with professional care, obviously, but to keep them away from everyone else. And I was like, yeah, what exactly is the mentally ill in the Star Trek universe?
It's not been touched on yet, has it?
It's not, and I can't think. I mean, obviously there's so much show after this from other series and stuff, and I'm sure it's brought up at some point. But I didn't know. This was something that I genuinely had no idea what is the Star Trek status quo on mentally ill. What is it? I don't know. And maybe there won't be much after this, because by the end it's they've got this magic serum that'll cure mental illness. So I mean, it kind of hand waves it a bit with that.
A little convenient, yeah.
But it's okay, this is interesting. What they're doing with this, and they come down, and again, adding to my interest is they introduced this idea that one of the patients here is this ex-Starfleet captain who used to be a hero, and was his missions are taught in Starfleet Academy still, and they were when Kirk was in the academy. And it's this is really interesting. What are we doing with this? And I don't think the episode ever quite lives up to the excitement I got from those opening 4 or 5 minutes. Because I was like, you could do so much with these ideas.
You could, yeah.
There's so much. Ultimately, it becomes more of a typical kind of okay Star Trek episode. Not doesn't really reach too many heights. There's some tropes. There's one dancing sequence that's as soon as it was starting, it's she's very good at dancing, do you want to see her dance? I was like, oh no, it's going to be one of these scenes, and it just goes on for a while.
I think my biggest problem is what it does is it becomes one of those where there's a duplicate and it's who's the real one.
Yeah, that's what I meant by it does some tropes later on, yeah.
And my problem is, this wasn't the episode to do that in. That's a fine idea, it's been done in many shows since. And this plays out exactly as you expect, but that's fine because I'm not judging it too much for that.
And to be fair, most of the stuff it does with there's a duplicate and which one's real. Most of it's fairly well handled. Most of it's pretty entertaining, and
that's the thing. The stuff that it actually does is perfectly good, but it feels like the wrong episode to be doing it in.
Yeah, because it becomes this thing where this ex-captain who now believes he is Lord of, let me just get the exact word here, I don't want to misquote this. He believes he is now Lord Garth of Izar, and he is the master of the universe. And of course, Queen started playing in my head as soon as he said that. And he's taken over Kirk. He's got this technology to make him look like anyone he wants. It's essentially not quite a hologram, but it's like a technical device that just sort of flash, and now he looks like someone else.
Pretty much.
I guess it's kind of magic, let's be honest. So they don't really
explain it. Doesn't really matter, does it?
But he uses that, and he turns out that he's been pretending to be the head doctor, and the head doctor's actually in a cell, and it's like, okay, neat twist, right? I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
And then it becomes about he wants to take over the Enterprise, and he turns into Kirk, and for some reason Kirk had a code word with Scott, even though we've never seen this before in the show.
I was so confused at first before they established this was something they'd set up recently, because he goes, all right, beam me up. And Scott, it's like, whatever this chess move is, Queen to something.
Queen something 3 to something or other, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell is this? This has never happened before. He goes, beam me up, Scotty. All right, up you come.
And I got it quite quickly that it was just a test to make sure it was really Kirk, but I was like, were they expecting some sort of weird foul play this time?
That's the thing. That's what I don't get, because it implies they were. right?
Yeah, and if you want to tell me that like if they told me after, remember back in episode, I think it was like 4 or 5. It was the one where we had like the evil side of Kirk on the ship, right? If they told me after that they'd put this into practice, right, and we'd had it ever since, I'd be fine with it. But we've never seen it before. We've never heard this code phrase.
Yeah, if just an episode or two establishing that this was a thing that they were doing now,
Yeah, it's so pulled out their arse just because it works for this plot.
and it's never going to be done again.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I did like Garth trying to like get Kirk to tell him. He just like kids like,
Get the
oh,
answer,
I
yeah.
play chess, Kirk. Do you? Oh, what would you do in this scenario?
But well, there's many moves that can
Yeah.
counter that.
Kirk knows what he's playing at. And of course, there's a thing where he pretends to be Spock, and there's a little twist where they get to the control room, and Spock's like, "Oh, Scotty's asking for your call sign, Captain, your thingamajig," and Kirk realizes he's smart enough to be like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, he pauses and he's been like, Spock's going to tell you.
Yeah.
But it plays it the other way as well. Like, could go either way. Like, it plays it as if Spock's like, no, I want him to, confirm that it's the captain.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, I actually thought the reveal here was it was Kirk that was the fake one.
Yeah, I think that's what because we've already seen him as Kirk and tried this already.
Yeah, because
That's the assumption.
it was the way he said, "Oh no, Spock will give it to you this time." I really thought it was Kirk that was the
that felt
Garth.
like the imposter going, yeah, go on then.
Yeah, but it was actually Spock. And of course, it all kind of boils down to those two Kirks at the end, and Spock comes in. Spock actually gets out. He does like a double Vulcan pinch. He's being like carried by two aliens, and he's like pinching both at the same time. Spock's a badass. Let's be honest. He can Spock his way out of any situation, but he comes in and there's two Kirks, and we get the classic, no, stun him. And I have to laugh because it played out, the solution to it was exactly the solution to this problem that is always used. It comes back, I can't remember if there was a name to this parable or whatever, but I always remember in school being told, and this wasn't even a duplicate, but the same logic applies.
Is this the Doors?
Not the Doors, no, it's just a girl with a doll.
Okay, you go that one.
I'm sure it's probably the same moral though. It's basically there's two girls fighting over this doll that they really like. And the I think it was a king in the story or whatever. I mean, it's been a long time since I've heard this, so the details are fuzzy. But it's like, oh, so which one will I give it to? And maybe I'll split it in half and give it to both of you. And then the one who says, no, don't split it in half, that'll ruin it. Just give it to the other person or whatever. That's the real person who should have it, right? It's the same kind of logic here. The Kirk that says, no, you could damage the Enterprise, shoot us both. I knew that would be the fix. Eventually the real Kirk's going to say, no, stun us both, and that'll keep the Enterprise safe, and then you can deal with things after we're both knocked out. I was like, okay, that's the solution, and sure enough, that's exactly what happens. The real Kirk says, no, stun us both, and then you can sort things out after.
And then Spock's like, well, I'm just going to get a chair and wait it out anyway. And of course gets jumped immediately.
Yeah, well, this is before it comes to the solution. This is all kind of worth it, though, because the banter scene at the end with Kirk and Spock, where Spock says, I'd basically come to the conclusion, so I was letting you two fight it out because I assumed that the real Kirk would lose the fight. And then Kirk's, the look in Kirk's face is like, And he's like, because of your condition, you'd already been tortured. Like, okay. It reminded me a lot of Tribble episode with Scotty. When he was, he was describing like what eventually set off the rage that started the fight with the Klingons.
Yeah, and Kirk's like, so you let yourself get hit in the head intentionally, then, did you?
I would presume that was intentional. And Spock's like, yes, presume, yes.
Yeah, of course it was.
It was just really good. That was a really fun scene. Like, honestly, this is like continuing a trend, and this is like 3 in a row now, where they've been kind of solid 7 out of 10 episodes. They've not been great, there's been some faults, they've had some good ideas, and they've not maybe capitalised on all their ideas.
I think this one's more annoying, because in the other episodes that we've talked about recently, there's been some good ideas, but it's been padded out by too much fluff around it.
Sure, whereas this presents such a great idea, and then just does kind of something else instead.
Yeah, this is 2 completely different episodes that just got smushed together for no real reason.
That said, the point I was getting at though is it's not an embarrassing episode. It's kind of fine. It's watchable. It's entertaining in places.
Oh, definitely. There's a few things here and there, like you said, the dancing scene,
Dancing scene, everything.
Kirk just flirting his way out of everything as
Yeah,
usual.
everything with the green alien and Kirk flirting. It just feels like we've been here and we've done that. I did chuckle. It turned out not to be Spock really, but when Spock enters the room, he's like, "Oh, you've really mastered this flirtation with the opposite sex." I did chuckle a little bit. It was almost like he was cracking a joke about how Kirk always ends up in
Yeah.
these scenes with these ladies. And I almost wish they went further with because obviously the fact that you've got Garth believing he's the master of the universe. But I almost wish they did more with all the inmates, if you will, like them being crazy. Like, not that I expect Star Trek, the original series, to be the one that gives me the true like Arkham Asylum episode where they're completely batshit insane, but just more with it than this.
No, I think that's why it's so frustrating because there's so much potential in that premise, and then we do the duplicate thing for most of it, which again is still good stuff. It's just it's frustrating in this one because there's the one episode where I was like, no, do what you were doing before. Don't do this duplicate stuff.
Yeah, in the end, it's a typical okay episode with some fun stuff, some good ideas, some stuff that doesn't work, pacing that's kind of hit and miss. You know,
Yeah.
when it's dealing with the main plot, it's fine. When it gets to the dance and stuff, anything with the green girl kind of dragged to
Yeah,
a halt.
definitely.
The middle was definitely the worst part because obviously Garth as well was monologuing a bit much for my entertainment's sake.
Yeah, at least he was a decent actor though this time.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, he was not
Compared
bad.
to some of the times that we get these monologuing villains.
Yeah, the closest it got for me, where it really felt they were acting crazy, was when the green girl, what was her name, Marta, and I should remember Marta actually because I thought they were calling her Martha at first, and I was cracking BVS jokes in my head as I was
As
watching,
you do.
as you do, yeah. Martha, but
It's a miracle we never did that during a single Handmaid's Tale review, isn't it?
oh, we did.
Did we?
In season
No.
one, I so remember making a Martha joke in season one.
Okay, fair. I don't remember that. I'll tell you word for it.
I am positive I cracked a joke about everyone having a Martha.
You might have done. Sounds familiar, but I
Yeah.
don't know if that's just familiar
I
because
mean, we
of the
didn't do it in
obvious-
season 2 recently because we're used to it by then. There's no point in
Yeah,
joking about it every time, but I'm sure we did early
I
season
don't
one.
remember it in season one, but I'll tell you word for it.
It's been a while, but I'm positive I made a Martha joke. Where was I going with that? You sniped me.
She was a bit of a chore. All the
Yes,
stuff
yeah,
with
she was
her.
a bit of a chore, yeah. But no, the one scene where she said one thing that was like, oh, we're getting to the crazy stuff now, is when she leaned into Spud, oh, go on, let me burn off one of his ears. I'm like, oh, go down this path. I don't want caricatures of crazy people, but the idea, like, we've never really met someone in Star Trek who's truly psychotic, like someone who's random, like a Joker. So having her just want to burn off one of Spock's ears is just kind of like, oh, that's really random and crazy.
It is, yeah.
I almost want to see Kirk and Spock and how they handle something like that. But ultimately, it's more about. I mean, sure, he happens to be crazy and just believe he's this ruler, but is the actual playing out of him thinking he's this ruler and going through these motions to try and make Kirk talk, is it really any different to another episode where it is actually someone in power on a different planet?
I think that's the problem. Him being crazy doesn't add anything compared to any other motivation.
Yeah, the only difference is at the end he's cured, and also there's like the one point where Kirk tries to convince him, "Oh, I want you to help you get back to what you were, as a proper Starfleet captain."
Yeah.
But it doesn't really feel like it has much consequence. Ultimately.
It does. I think that's the problem with it. Where it's like if this was just a guy wanted the ship to escape just a regular
It'd
prison,
be the almost exact same episode, yeah.
it would, and that's a bit disappointing.
Which is a shame because, like I said, the opening 5 minutes when I found out where they were going, and that we were going to deal with this type of situation in Star Trek, it was like, oh, what's this going to be like? And unfortunately, this is not the episode to really tackle it. So
No, decent episode, but could have been great.
yeah, not painful by any means. I mean, I think this middle batch of episodes has been kind of just a solid watchable, like not necessarily episodes that I necessarily feel the need to return to in the future, but not ones that I regret watching. And
It's not one that I feel like, oh, I need to skip this in the
yeah,
future.
absolutely, yeah. And some fun moments here or there, as you typically have. So
Yeah.
So no. So that's episode 14. Which means we're actually just over halfway then. In
Yes,
the
I
show.
think it's 26, right?
26, I think. Yeah. No, 24.
The 24.
Yeah, because I thought it was 22, and I was wrong. It was 24. 26 was season 2.
Right. Okay.
29, 26, 24. That's the.
Sounds about right.
That's
So we're a couple over halfway then.
couple over halfway. We do have makeup episode planned for the couple of months that we had very few episodes. Those should start soon. Once we start squeezing those in. That said, though, those can move around. It doesn't really matter too much if they get pushed. The point is that we'll be getting through some extra episodes here or there over the next month or two, which should lead us nicely to the movies. Probably by the end of next month, early September, we'll be on to the movies.
Yeah, we're looking at end of summertime.
Yeah. So we'll get through those 6 movies, and then we'll be on to next gen, and that'll be fun and exciting and new and fresh and all that. And here's hoping by the time we get to the end of next gen, or at least by the time we get to, like, because I think Deep Space Nine starts before next gen ends. There's a bit of a crossover period. Yeah. I hope by the time we get there, they've done a 1080p remaster of Deep Space Nine.
It'll be nice.
Just
not,
so it's
not
nice and pretty.
My breath, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't see Voyager getting the treatment, but Deep Space Nine's well regarded, so I'm hoping. But hey, so that is the episode of Star Trek. So by all means, let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. Of course, if you do that, you get these Star Trek reviews a week early, amongst some other things. So the bonuses, and obviously it's a big support if you do want to support us on there. However, you can also do that other ways, like and subscribe and all the usual stuff that I just said. All of that helps too, so don't feel bad if you can't. But that is the show. So thank you very much once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys, and we'll see you next time.